It's those little things that keep me finding my way back to the Orange County line.
Okay, welcome to the Y with Dr. T. I am here with my good friend, Kim Burgess, and we're going to talk all things community. Maybe.
And then some.
And then some. All right, Kim, please introduce yourself.
My name is Kim Burgess. I'm the Director of Rural Engagement for the United Way of South Central Indiana. And we cover Lawrence, Orange, Greene, and Owen counties. And then the other part is Bloomington and Brown County, or Monroe and Brown County. But I only cover the 4 rural areas, hence rural engagement.
That's right. So when was it? Was it about 2019 or 20 when I first met you?
20.
20?
Right, 20. Right before the pandemic, we were going to have a conference upstairs or at the community, and you guys had to cancel it.
The Beyond the Bottom Line.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
And we ended up postponing that for about a year. So what I remember,
Uh-oh.
and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but what I remember the first time we really had some good conversations was you were somewhat new to that position.
Yes.
Right?
Brand new.
Brand new, yeah. And had been trying to figure out where the United Way had really been an active partner and where there could be some help with additional partnering, and Orange County was it.
Well, so originally, we in 2023 we merged with the Monroe County United Way, and then we became the United Way of South Central Indiana. But we were already the United Way of South Central Indiana, so they took our name, and now our corporate office is in Bloomington. But prior to that, it had been United Way of South Central Indiana, and we covered Lawrence and Orange counties. But when I got into the position and found out that United Way had really never stepped foot into Orange County, so they were 100% Lawrence County and completely ignored Orange County. And so I thought, well, that's not fair. So you can't claim you cover 2 counties and not really cover 2 counties. So then I met you, and then
well, it's
history,
history,
and then it took off from there. No, it really did though, because you at the time you had just finished the ACEs study.
Yes.
And then I remember, okay, we're going to do everything that Brandy's doing in Lawrence County. And so that we did. So then we did the ACEs study at North Lawrence and at Mitchell schools.
Yes.
And we even used the same guy, Dr. Kiesler, to do our, to do the analysis for us as well. And so we have been actually, everything that I've been doing in Lawrence County is what you've been doing here in Orange County.
Yes.
Basically.
But what I remember is that you telling me we're going to get involved in Orange County. And
we did.
Yes.
We did.
In a big way.
Yep.
So what I want to talk about now, though, is that first real partnership with SICHC's Thrive Orange County.
Yep, that's how it started. Yep.
But it started with a $20,000 investment
in
building.
Yep.
But it actually went to building Team OC, which was youth mentoring, but now it is our community now. But that was a $20,000 basically seed money
to get you going,
to get Team OC going.
Yeah. And it did.
Yeah. And you were also on the board, and you still are.
I still am vice president. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool, right? So because of what you guys were doing in Orange County, of course, I took the mentoring thing, same thing. So we started mentoring in Lawrence County, and we're in both the middle schools and both the high schools in Lawrence County as well. But ours is, it's not, I'm not going to say it is different. It's still a mentoring program, but it's different. Ours is focused on domestic violence. specifically because the CDC came to Lawrence County 2010 or something like that, and the number one contributing factor to domestic violence in Lawrence County was it was culturally acceptable.
Yeah.
So how do you change the culture? And which is what you've been doing here.
Yeah.
So but we've been working together, what, 5-6 years now, right?
Yeah.
So the mentoring program has grown huge. The schools, the administration picks the girls for us. And we thought, well, if we continue this program, and now it's in its 4th year, if we continue this program, then the girls who are in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade now, they're just now starting to date. If we can educate them on what healthy relationships look like, because right now their vision of a healthy relationship is watching mom and dad argue all the time, or get beat, or mom coming home drunk, whatever. That's not a healthy relationship. And so we're trying to educate them on just what does that healthy relationship look like. And just because he's drunk does not mean he's allowed to hit you. And the the looks on their faces is like, really, because it's so ingrained in the culture that it's just part of the culture.
Right. And you've certainly taken on that familiar domestic abuse situation. But the reality is, it's really hard to change negative family dynamics right away. Because it took a long time to get there, often generational.
Well, not often, but according to Lawrence County, I'm sure Orange County the same way. Yeah. It's been generations, many generations. This has been going on,
right?
And so this what we're doing in Lawrence and Orange and everywhere else we try to go. This has to go on we have to break the cycle, right? At some point.
And that's what I think is important to remember with a lot of the community work that we do is, we may not be able to necessarily change families at the moment, but if we can teach the next generation to do something different, then maybe the next generation we have been able to cycle break.
Right, because you can't think that it's a 1-year program and you're okay, we're done now, these girls get it. No, we started with these girls in 6th grade. They're now sophomores in high school, and we're still with them. And we're going to stay with them until they graduate high school. That's the goal. Don't get pregnant, graduate high school, and don't get the crap beat out of you. Those are, that's pretty much the goal.
So with those girls being the 4th year, have you I don't know if you're studying outcomes or not, but even just anecdotally, are you seeing any growth or change?
Yeah, and the school's keeping track of that too. The attendance is better, the behavior is better, the grades are better, right? We take them on field trips and show them what IU looks like, what Ivy Tech looks like.
Well, and you even took them to Moo Moo's.
Took them to Moo Moo's.
And that's amazing.
That was a lot of money. But you know what? How often are those girls are going to be able to go to Moo Moo's where they know, what this glass is for and what this fork is for, and get them out of where they've never been before. And maybe they'll never go to Moo Moo's again, but at least they went that time. And so we try to do that.
And a lot of things that we talk about in our own home, Chris and I talk about, is show somebody something different.
Right.
And a seed just might be planted for some different and maybe better way of thinking.
Right. And so most of our mentors have a domestic violence background, and they've overcome.
Oh, wow.
So the resiliency is huge, right? So we're trying to build, show what that looks like, but also that these women are giving back. We really push on these girls to make them understand these girls are taking time out of their day of getting paid to come here and spend time with you every week. And so I think the girls are like, I don't think they really understand how important that is, that you volunteer and give back to the community. So I'm because it's all about community, right? It's all about giving back to the community and being part of the community. So we want them to be civic leaders. We want them to be part of the community, not on the outskirts and not participating with parades and voter registrations and, all this stuff that goes into being a part of the community.
It doesn't take much, but service leadership, teaching service leadership and expecting it is so important, because that is what keeps our communities going.
Right.
If we don't work together, it's a lot harder to get anywhere.
Yes. And pretty much all this, like all the festivals and all the parades and all the stuff, that's all 100% volunteer driven.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's the same volunteers doing, what they say, the 80-20 thing, or the 90-10, 10% of people do 90% of the work. But it's got to keep going. We got to keep pushing that, and we got to keep trying to get the people engaged in the community, because that's what's going to save us. We've got to be united in the community.
Well, and I feel, I've always thought that we have to focus on what brings us together. What do we have in common? We can have a lot of different attitudes, opinions, beliefs, and that's fine. And what can we walk beside each other with? And how can we make that journey as significant as possible? Not just for ourselves, but for everyone in our path. And I think that we have to start with our youth. We have to
right.
to remember to teach, being in leadership, volunteering, being community oriented is good for everybody.
Right. And especially for the people doing it. They don't, they don't realize how much it makes you feel, how much better it makes you feel when you're giving back to others. If you put others first, it's so much better.
We're so anymore, it's very easy to get kind of locked up in our own minds, or in, social media drama or something else, and not really see that broader picture of the importance of real human connection.
Right. Yep. I just saw I think it's a school in, no, I can't remember, don't quote me, Kentucky or Virginia, somewhere, where the kids, no phones from the time they walk into the school until the time they walk out of the school. So not at lunch, not at advisory, nothing. And all of a sudden, their reading scores went up. And kids are in the library, and kids are communicating with each other. We've got a whole generation of kids who don't know how to communicate because these phones are killing us. Right.
And I think that's increasingly the trend, even in our Orange County schools. This year there has been rules change with phones. Now it's not to that point yet that I'm aware of, or at least not in the schools that I'm associated with, but it's getting there.
I bet it will. And once they see these numbers, the scores, I bet that others will follow, because we're in, the education in this country, we've all seen the reports. It's not what it used to be. And we used to be the leaders back in the 50s and 60s, and it's just gone downhill ever since. And so we got to get our kids back into that. And so that leads me to the next big thing that we're doing in Mitchell, Hatfield Elementary, and in 4 schools in Greene County. We're doing truancy research with Dr. Kiesler again.
Yes.
On K through 2.
Now that has been a goal of yours for a long time, because
right.
I remember talking with you. Well, it was probably right out of the pandemic, because that's when that hit the all-time high.
Yeah, right.
Is when we were getting back into school in 22-ish,
something like that,
and
right?
and that children were missing just in
right.
So
well,
many
yeah,
ways.
and when you talk to the probation, any probation, whether it's Greene County, Orange County, Lawrence County, whatever probation, youth probation officer, the number one thing is has been for decades attendance. You know, people don't realize that, you know, it's against the law if your kids don't go to school. A lot of people don't know that. And so that's the biggest thing that they've been working on. And they're kind of shifting away from that a little bit. And then the schools are taking on more of a role in that. But if we're talking 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, of course, we know by the time it's 11th or 12th grade, it's a little late. So everything we seem to be doing seems to be on a reactive rather than a proactive. So what's trying to hit these kids when they're a sophomore or junior in high school, it's a little late for that. The behaviors, the habits have been formed. The leniency of parents, for whatever reason, they've just washed their hands and just said, you know, I can't deal with it anymore, which happens a lot. So we started with K through 2. You would be amazed at the number of absenteeism in K through 2.
Well, explain a little bit about your program, because I have all kinds of questions.
Okay.
But how is this program? How do you see it developing?
Well, so this particular thing with the K through 2 is basically just a research project, partnered with Dr. Kiesler and IU School of Social
to figure
Work
out
again.
basically.
So what we did was I created a database, and it's a monster database, trying to capture data. Who's at home? Who lives at home? How many people are at home? Are there veterans at home? What's the educational level of the parents?
Demographics.
Is there all that? And there's like 120 indicators, right? There's a lot that we're trying to capture. And so what we do is the schools give us the kids who are habitually absent. And this is, remember, kindergarten, first, second grade. So we know it's not their fault. They're not getting to school.
Right.
So, okay, so why isn't Johnny getting to school? So we partnered with the schools. I have an MOU, a memo of understanding with them, which is rare, but it's a contract, an agreement that says I have access to their database, to their kids, which is huge, right? I mean, it's not every school does that, but they're seeing this as a huge issue too.
Right.
And so, okay, so how do we fix it? So we get the kids, we talk to the parents, and we gather all this data. What's going on in the home?
Yeah.
What's causing Johnny not to get to school?
Right.
How can we help you as a community?
Here we go.
How can we help you get Johnny to school? What can we do to help you? Maybe they need a GED, or maybe they need substance misuse. Maybe they need rehab. Maybe they need a skill. Maybe they, who knows? Maybe they're working 3 jobs and they just can't get Johnny to school. Well, maybe the PTA can, help out with somebody. But we're sending case managers to the homes. What can we do to help? And so we did this 2 years ago at Hatfield and Mitchell, Indiana, and the numbers.
What did you see was the top few?
So off the top of my head, it was, I didn't know it was that important for them to go to school over and over. Oh, there's just kindergarten, or it's just first grade, or, was it that important? Yeah, because that's how behaviors begin. That's how habits start. Yeah. And so no, they need to go. Oh, they just didn't, we're thinking,
you're thinking lack of transportation,
something,
or lack of clothes,
something, right? Yeah. Oh, is it really that important?
Really?
Because it's not important to them. So it's not so important for them to get their child to school. Oh, is it really that important? Yeah, it's really that important. And by the way, it's against the law. Oh, yeah. So it went right up. So their attendance is much better now. In the Northern Lawrence Community Schools, the attendance rate is up like 97%, which is really good. But there's still those 3% that's just not making it to school. And what we're finding now is at this later stage, the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, when they get a call from probation or from the school, rather than dealing with the kid not going to school, they just pull them out. Well, we're going to homeschool them.
Or virtual.
Yeah. Oh, goody. So that's sad. But once they unenroll, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, as long as on paper somewhere there
Right.
is an education plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Until they turn 18. So, yeah, it's tough.
And do you think that percentage that fits into the older kids, and then either withdrawing altogether at, what is it, 16 you can do that,
Yeah,
and
right.
or doing a virtual or a homeschooling
Homeschool.
model? Do you think is that percentage rising?
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Sure. It's since COVID. Yeah, it's rising. They'll tell you, the schools tell you, it's really the virtual is big, and the homeschooling. The bad thing with the homeschooling is there's not a lot of regulation to that.
Not a
Not
lot
a
of
whole
accountability.
oversight. Right.
Oversight, right? Okay.
And so you can say, yeah, I'm going to homeschool them. Oh, okay. And so then at least if they're doing it virtually, then there's like some organization that is sort of keeping track of that. Homeschooling, there's not. It's sad with the homeschooling.
So this is going out into 4 more schools
In Greene County.
Greene County.
Yeah, we're in White River Valley, Bloomfield, Eastern Greene, and one more.
Okay.
I can't remember, but there are 4 of them in Greene County. Yeah.
And still in the Lawrence County.
And still in Lawrence County, right? Yeah, we're still continuing that.
Okay.
Yeah, because we want to keep track of these kids, right? We want to follow them through.
So originally in Orange County, a lot of the issue was just an awareness of the importance
Right.
of education.
Right.
Like that has slipped somewhere.
Yeah.
Now that you've been doing this a little bit, has the issues kind of changed, or are we still at that?
We're still at, because you can remember K through 2, so it's
Yeah.
we're not really following them too much through,
Yeah.
but the schools are.
Mhm.
The schools are following. So like when we first started and we had K1 and 2, now those K1 and 2 are now 3, 4, and 5th graders. So so you got a whole new crop of kids. What's changed, especially in Mitchell, is that the school system is really on board. So that helps. Like, before, now, which is good. Now, when they see like a kid coming in every day, disheveled, late, maybe wearing the same clothes 2 or 3 days in a row, they give us a call.
Yeah. And I think
Because
with
even
that-
though the kids are there,
yeah,
clearly something's going on in
Yeah.
the home, right?
well, and I think that builds on. So in the last several years, there's been a push to get mental health providers in
Right.
schools, which is when you build your capacity, you can handle
Right.
things like this a bit more. And then in our area here, we have the Handle with Care
Right.
program,
Yep.
which a lot of that is somewhat similar, but when in Orange County, when the system works the way that it should, and all systems are pretty complicated and there's always bugs
Yeah.
to work out, but with the Orange County Handle with Care, the law enforcement folks who respond to homes where there are children, they send a simple
Yep.
Handle with Care
Yep.
Johnny to whatever school
Mhm.
or preschool that child goes to. And it's just meant to say, hey, Johnny had a rough night,
Right.
and can you check on him?
Right.
Or if Johnny doesn't show,
right. Watch for the behavior.
Yeah.
If he has a behavior,
Yeah.
It's not punitive. Don't put him in timeout. Figure out what has
Yeah.
happened, what's caused this to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another program we stole from you guys as well.
Well,
We started at Lawrence County as
good,
well.
Good.
Right.
And I do think that there are more and more counties in Indiana who are
Yeah.
utilizing Handle with Care.
Right.
And in
'Cause it's
fact,
so
the
easy.
state has picked
Right.
up a kind of a division of Handle with Care.
Oh, good.
And we do some monthly reportings and some monthly virtual meetings about the Handle with Care. So it is definitely growing. But yes, Orange County was working on Handle with Care in about 2019
Yep.
with Paul Andrew, and he's retired police officer.
Yep.
He was actually
I was on those
And
in
that's
those
right.
meetings.
Yes, you were,
Yeah, I
right.
was,
Yeah, you were
right. I
there.
remember.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
So-
we're doing this in Bedford too.
But I think that shows the importance of what we're doing, the importance of people power, really.
Well, and also another thing we stole from you is the becoming trauma informed, a trauma informed community, trauma informed care, and letting them understand. Okay, everybody looks at trauma in a different way, especially kids, and they don't know how to process this. And so let's not, suspend them and expel them or whatever. Let's find out the why instead of, well, we know what, we don't even know what happened, but let's not punish them for their behavior without knowing what's causing the behavior. And I know that's a simplified thing for trauma, but it is for us to be cognizant of what trauma is and how to deal with it rather than just pushing it under the rug and ignoring it.
Yeah. So I think that is one of the things that Orange County has been very progressive on is, and that is anchored with Southern Indiana Community Health Care.
Yeah.
When their CEO was introduced to adverse childhood experiences from a training put on by the Bounce Coalition, I think out of Louisville, but the training was in Owensboro, Kentucky, and the CEO came and her sister went to that training and was introduced to adverse childhood experiences. And if anyone who does not know, adverse childhood experiences can fall into these 3 domains. So the physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and all of that somewhat under like a household dysfunction lens. When they were introduced, Dr. Yoder started to ask pregnant moms about ACEs and that things that had happened before the age of 18. This is not in this particular in the ACE study that I'm talking about. This is just the 18, and she found that 30% of those pregnant moms had reported a childhood with quite a bit of toxic stress.
Yep.
A lot of abuse and neglect and household dysfunction. So then she began to think about, well, if this is happening with our pregnant moms, what's happening with our school kids? And that's where Orange County, all 3 school systems said, you know what, this is important. We're gonna figure this out. And they did the ACE research. And again, we found 30% of kiddos were 30% of the kiddos identified a high ACE score or answered yes to a lot of toxic stress currently as in their homes right now. That's an issue.
That's a big issue.
That's a really big issue.
And we did the same thing. But in ours, it's like over 70% of the kids had ACE scores of 4 or more.
Oh my goodness.
Right. It's very high. Yeah.
Which I don't even know what the math is on that, but the national average right now somewhere hovers around 16%.
Right.
We were double the national average.
We were way higher.
We were way higher in that cohort of children.
Yeah.
So
and I don't know if that's because we're a little larger community. I don't know, but the rural community, that's that. But the other thing that he found, because he asked more than just the 10 ACE questions.
The original,
right. The original. Right. He went on to do resiliency as well.
Yes,
and the resiliency was like off the charts. It was really high. So there's a whole lot of, dad's been incarcerated or mom's tried to commit suicide or what, but the kids seem to be resilient in spite of it. So that's a whole nother study. It's like, okay, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, but what does that look like? Why are these kids so resilient?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a goal, because we know with the ACE research that the more you're exposed, the more that there's a chance of having some pretty negative health, and just functioning outcomes as adults. So it is in all of our best interest to understand what's happening with us within our family dynamics, and because it matters long term.
Yeah. Right.
And I
Yeah,
do
because
think
I think that's how it first started.
Yeah.
Right, with
Yeah.
the two doctors, or whoever they were. I can't remember their names. I know that you're a professor of this, so you've got this. But they were finding out that the higher the ACE score, the more health problems that their patients were having. And
yes,
right.
So
I did it in a
that
simple
was
way.
that was Dr. Anda and Dr. Filetti. Both
Okay.
were doing research in different places. One with Kaiser Permanente
Right.
out in California, other with the CDC. And it was originally an obesity study with about 16,000 participants. And I think that study was published, the primary study was published in about 94, 95. But what was going on at the time was they were trying to figure out why people who struggle with obesity, because we also know that obesity is is kind of an anchor for a lot more health problems
Right.
as adults age. Why were people gaining weight back? After they had been through a program, they had lost weight, they were doing well, and then the weight came back.
Mhm.
And what they were finding was there were these patterns.
Right.
And these researchers were looking at what ended up becoming adverse childhood experiences. Now, they clearly, for that first study, narrowed that down to about 10 things, which was really about 30 wrapped into about 10 questions. And they didn't utilize a lot of the other ACE information that since that study, that study was the catalyst for so much more. So now we have a lot more screenings for ACEs. So we have the Nadine-Burke-Harris screening, the Pearl screening. We also have the Philadelphia screening, which goes into quite a bit more in depth and talks about things like neighborhood violence, discrimination, pandemics, natural disasters, death of a loved one. So it broadens the definition of what adverse childhood experiences are. But one of the things that was very clear in that research was resiliency.
Mm-hmm.
We have to make sure that we continue to provide opportunity to grow resilience.
Right.
So a lot of the programs that we started here in Orange County, or at least through support under, focuses on resilience.
Right. Because
Building
that's the key,
stronger kiddos,
Right.
Just like that's what mentoring does. You put
Right.
youth, as specifically at-risk youth, together with stable, loving, safe mentors, and beautiful things happen.
Right.
And it doesn't take that long. And then if we get children into classrooms where teachers understand that dynamic, there still needs to be accountability. Mm-hmm. Students still have to behave in a way that they can learn. And we can also try to figure out what is behind the behavior as well.
Right.
So it's a two-way street.
Right.
But being able to provide those types of environments as often as possible is what's going to we're going to be able to cycle break. Mm-hmm. And I think that is what Orange County and Lawrence County is trying to do every single day with this type of work.
Yep. Yes. I gotta put a plug in for you guys.
Well, go right ahead.
So the Community Foundation, Purdue Extension, through the Community Foundation Youth Leadership, I think it's the Youth Leadership, right? Has their leadership program.
Yes.
Okay, it's the bomb. So who's ever listening, if you have not gone through that program, go, because they do a phenomenal job.
Now that's through our
through Orange County.
So Veronica and Julie,
Tanya
and Tanya Hall.
Yes, Tanya Hall. Yes, runs it through Purdue. But I think the Community Foundation Youth Service folks, Chelsea and those guys are in charge. Are like funded or started it or something. But Purdue runs it. Purdue Extension. Yeah. It's Tanya does an amazing job. Good. Yeah, it's really good.
Well, I hope she's going to listen.
And that's it. So when when I told you that, okay, I need to get involved in Orange County, that's the first thing I did. I signed up for that. And I'm still in contact with almost all the people who went through the program. It's really a good program.
You know, when I wanted you on this show, it was because you told me we're going to make Orange County a priority, and you did.
We did. Still are.
And still are, in a big way.
Yeah. Oh, but oh my gosh. If you haven't, you need to get Priscilla in here with Team OC. That what they're doing is we actually had to get rid of the youth mentoring because it's such a, it's not like that was the focus and that was the only focus.
Yeah.
And it's still mentoring, but they're doing so much more.
It's social determinants of health now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. They're doing so much more. And so now it's just Team OC.
Yeah. And Team OC is an example of how when we work together.
Right.
When we figure out our own problems and then we start to deal with them. We sure can.
Yeah.
And can change
but you know what? Thrive. I think every county should have a Thrive. I don't know if they need to call it Thrive, but like Thrive Orange County, I've been just saying this and I keep on, and we just haven't called it that yet. But now we're looking at these 40 developmental assets. Have you? Yeah. So now we're kind of looking at those to see, okay,
right.
We sort of did a community asset mapping in Lawrence County to see, okay, from Thrive, of course, here's what our community assets look like. And now we need to start plugging them in to, okay, here's what do we do with this now? Now we have all this information. How can we make it better? So
well, and I think on that note, I think I'll say that it is an honor to be able to be a part of something that another county is taking and not only doing, but making better, because that's always been the goal.
Right.
Is to continue to make communities better. Is continue to take what we're doing and make it great. Right. And that's what we want, because we don't.
And we want to share it.
Right. Yes.
Right. It needs to be shared with everyone.
And be a catalyst.
Someday we're going to do this, but it needs to be out there, and we need to share, because if it's working in our rural communities, it'll work in other rural communities.
That's right.
And we're starting in Greene County now. Right. So we're going to start up there as well.
Well, all right. That is amazing. So I think that we'll end on that note. I appreciate you being here.
Well, thanks for asking me. It's been fun.
And we'll do it again.
Oh, yes, we will.
Okay.